Okay, so we're kind of at that point where when it comes to our coverage over the Onslaught event, we're going to see a lot of different Marvel characters being affected by this event in different types of ways. Now, here's the thing, because this event is technically a Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men event, but you still have other heroes getting involved because when it came to Onslaught, this man is right now attacking all of New York. And so the question is, how are other characters in New York who had a book around this time being affected by this event, like the Green Goblin or Spider-Man and even the Punisher? And so this is us picking up with Punisher issue number 11 to kind of see what is the Punisher doing when it comes to Onslaught attacking New York. And really, the first few pages of the storyline kind of give us the answers that we were looking for, because we pick up with the Punisher kind of wishing that he had a bigger weapon. And the reason why, because hell heck, you got Sentinels right now just walking across New York, because when it came to Onslaught, he took over the Sentinels, reprogrammed them to not go after mutants, but to now go after humans. And so right now for the Punisher, he realized things are popping off left and right across New York. Now, he also realized that S.H.I.E.L.D. is here as well. But here's the thing. Their helicarrier is not being attacked right now by the Sentinels. It seems like they're able to just fly by without being noticed. And that all changes in a matter of moments. And the reason why, because as soon as you had G.W. Bridges, who's technically in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the moment, because by this point in Marvel Comics, the Punisher had quote unquote killed off Nick Fury. And so right now, G.W. is in charge. Either way, when it came to G.W., he wanted to send out some S.H.I.E.L.D. agents to kind of bring order back into New York to help out the heroes. The problem is that as soon as you had these agents fly by these Sentinels, they're kind of like, oh, look, we now have brand new targets. We have to kill them. Where are they coming from? Oh, that helicarrier. We got to bring that down as well, too. And so just like that, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s helicarrier is being attacked by the Sentinels, and it goes down fast. So just like that, S.H.I.E.L.D. is right now in some big trouble at the moment. Now, for the Punisher, he's nearby. And for the Punisher, he's kind of like, listen, there's some bad blood right now between me and S.H.I.E.L.D. because, well, I did supposedly kill off Nick Fury. But at the same time, I just can't sit here on the sideline watching them trying to survive in the middle of the body of water they're in right now at the moment. Like, they need some help. And technically, he's right, because it's the Punisher saying, like, scavengers are going to try to steal things from the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. And matter of fact, as we get into the next section, we pick up with the Junkyard Dogs. Now, this group right here, they work for the mob, but they're kind of tired for working for the mob. So why not go ahead, swing your way over to the helicarrier and steal some nice weapons to use against your enemies, including the mob who currently control you at the moment. And so you had a small gang right now heading their way over to where the helicarrier had crashed. Now, for S.H.I.E.L.D., they see them coming and they begin to freak out a tad bit. And for G.W. Bridges, that now gives him another reason why to get away from the helicarrier, because if they stay, they're basically sitting ducks. But also because when it came to G.W. Bridges, what he did was he told the helicarrier to begin the self-destruct sequence. That place is going to blow up very soon. And so he now has to hurry, get all his people out of there, but also defend them against the Junkyard Dogs and get far away from the helicarrier. But luckily for S.H.I.E.L.D., Punisher does arrive. Now, the rest of this book is really more of us just seeing the Punisher helping out S.H.I.E.L.D. to fight back against the Junkyard Dogs, but to also get the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents away from the helicarrier. And so you do have S.H.I.E.L.D. and GW and also Punisher being able to complete all the different objectives just like that. But here's the thing, because this issue alone is also setting up the next storyline that came right after this one. Now, we can start covering some Punisher stories on the channel. But either way, it's right now GW telling Frank, like, hey, listen, you owe us one. Like, you did kill off Nick Fury, even though technically you were not right in the head, but you do owe us one. I do have a mission for you. And so you do have Frank agree to take the mission. But now we kind of transition over to X-Men issue number 19. Now, when it comes to issue number 19, it's really more of us seeing the storyline picking up where we left off at when it came to Nate Gray in X-Force. Because remember, when it came to the early parts of this crossover, you had the X-Men tell X-Force, you are supposed to guard Nate Gray, because they believe Onslaught would sooner or later come for Nate Gray and try to grab him. Now for X-Force, they were on guard. The problem was that he was taken away by Mr. Sinister, who was then able to shut down the powers of Nate Gray. Now this issue right here will kind of explain how he was able to shut down the powers of Nate. But when it comes to Mr. Sinister, he's telling Nate Gray right now, like, I know where you're from. I know almost everything about your reality. I know that technically you are a child of Scott Summers and of course Jean Grey. Now for Mr. Sinister, he wants to use Nate Gray as a weapon against Onslaught. But for Nate Gray, as we already know, he hates the idea of being used as a weapon. Now there was another character who was somewhat close to Cable. Sorry, Nate Gray. Nate Gray is the counterpart to Cable, but there was another character who was close to Nate Gray, and that was Trinity. Now when it came to her, she was technically working for Mr. Sinister, but she kind of moved away from him to go find Nate Gray to hopefully use Nate Gray as a way to protect her from Mr. Sinister. The problem was that when they arrived in New York, they went their separate ways. For Nate Gray, he went to go find the Avengers. She hid somewhere, but unfortunately, she was found by the Marauders. As we all know, Marauders work for Mr. Sinister. Now, as we all know, this is now phase 2 of this crossover. So right now for Onslaught, he's just wrecking New York completely. But here's the thing, because by this point in our coverage, he has merged with Franklin Richards. And when it comes to Franklin, he's calling out for help, a psychic call for help. And so of course, that call does go straight over to Nate Gray. Now for Nate Gray, he has no idea who Franklin Richards is, but he kind of realized there's somebody out there calling for help. But here's the thing, because for Nate Gray right now, as he hears Mr. Sinister talking, we do learn how he was able to learn almost everything about the age of Apocalypse reality. But on top of that, how he was able to shut down the powers of Nate, how he was able to send a feedback in the mind of Nate Gray when it came to Nate using his abilities. All because of Trinity. And the reason why, because when you had Nate Gray go into her mind, well, she had devices on her head that came from Mr. Sinister. You see, for her, she did not have the ability to control her powers. You see, for her, she has the ability to absorb energy from people who are dying. And once she does absorb too much energy, she has to release it. And so when it came to Nate Gray, when he went into her mind, those devices on her head that helped her control her abilities allow Mr. Sinister to go into her mind, to go into his mind, to map out how his mind works. And so that is how Mr. Sinister was able to learn everything about Nate Gray. But this is where you kind of had the story wrap up very quickly here. And the reason why I'm saying that, because when it comes to Trinity, she is able to break free by grabbing a rat, killing that rat, and absorbing the energy of that dead rat. When she does, she can use that energy as a blast to break her binds off. The problem is that while she's trying to escape, well, she's then confronted by no other than the Marauders. But here comes the big catch, because before you have Marauders do anything to her, something or someone else comes behind them and takes them out. But before we are able to learn who helped her out or possibly capture her, we jump back over to Nate Gray. Now for Nate Gray, he realized that his mind has healed up, which means that Mr. Sinister is no longer able to shut his powers off or cause pain in his mind when Nate Gray used his abilities. But here comes the big ending though, because for Nate Gray, he sees this child just coming out of nowhere. This portal opens up and his child appears. It does seem like it's Franklin Richards calling out for help. But for Mr. Sinister, he realized that's not Franklin at all. It's matter of fact a trick. But before Nate is able to realize it is a trick, he's then grabbed by Onslaught and taken away just like that. And so now for Onslaught, he has Nate Gray, he has Franklin Richards, and things got a whole lot worse for our heroes. But this is where we're going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.